Jazakumullah khairan. Sheikh, could you please spare some time for more questions? They keep coming every night, so we're going to keep you here. So
that's what we're here for. That's why the ummah is our ummah, and we are part of the ummah. We are servants of the ummah. We are ought to be at service to the ummah, right? Whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives some favor, the original understanding of a Muslim is, if Allah has given you a favor, you ought to share it. You ought to share it for free if you can. If you can't, then you charge as less as possible. That's how it ought to be. That's how we Muslim ought to be amongst one another. For we are brothers, and we are brothers of one another, and we are also we have sisterhood and we have brotherhood. And thereby this body, as Rasulullah said, is one body, one ummah. Now, and this gap between the scholars and the mass, this gap ought to be bridged, and it can only be bridged by students of knowledge and young students of knowledge and young scholars. We can bridge that gap between the senior scholars and leaders of the ummah and the mass. We can bridge that gap. So my advice to the students of knowledge is we should not be shy from the camera. Just because you come on camera doesn't mean you're not humble, or you're not sincere, or you're not honest, right? So we should not be shy from camera or social media. Yes, some training needs to be taken behind the scenes, and some advice needs to be taken behind the scenes. And yes, you ought to have your mentors and your teachers to monitor you and for you to refer back to them. But you should be the ones who bridge the gap between the senior ulama and our senior leaders and the mass Muslims. And it is time that Ummah does that. It is time the Ummah does that, because we have not done that. The Ummah is in such a I wouldn't say bad state, but it is in a not a good state, and thereby we need to bridge the gap with the mass and also with our senior ulama and our senior leaders, inshallah ta'ala.
MashaAllah, Jazakumullah khairan. On the topic of Surah Al-A'raf, Sheikh, you said how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took us back to our origin in Surah Al-A'raf and addressed us after talking about describing himself, subhanAllah. And so there's a relevant question here where somebody asks, would Adam alayhi salam and his wife Hawa have seen Allah in his true form when they were in Jannah?
No. See, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that blessing, that is the greatest blessing, right? He has kept for those who believe in him. Can you believe this? And he exists, is a fact, it's a reality. Jalla wa ala exists, it's a fact, it's a reality. Everyone knows deep down that there is a supreme being. No one can deny that. No one can deny that. If they deny, they're just lying to themselves, but deep down they know that's the fact, that's the reality. Yeah. But one day that fact will become real front of their face. There's no fleeing from that fact. There's no fleeing from that reality, right? It'll be face to face, front of them, right? And all they will then they will hope is that if only they believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because they know that the people who believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without seeing him, now is the time, now is the moment they will see him. They will actually see him. And these people who do not believe him for eternity, they have not seen him now, they will never ever see him ever. They will never ever see Allah Jalla wa ala subhanahu wa ta'ala. Never. That is the greatest punishment upon this creation, upon his creation. That I gave you every single sign to believe in me. I loved you more than any other being close to you. I bestowed upon you mercy after mercy after mercy. Just like you believed in your parents, just like you appreciated your parents or anyone that loved you, all you had to do is acknowledge that fact. That fact. As for the worship, that worship would have only elevated you, made you content, made you relax and calm. in your trials and tribulations that you were going through in this life. You'd have given you success after all the successes that, even if you're the most successful person, it would have given the real success of contentment and sweetness and relaxation. It would have made you attain the greatest of potential of you being a human being and you being a creation. And then after that, you'd have attained for eternity a blissful, pleasurable, luxurious life that you can't even imagine. All of you together, the creations came together to imagine Jannah. You would not be able to imagine it. You rejected that arrogantly and stubbornly. And now, you will not see me. You will not see me for eternity. Imagine, they know now the reality of Qiyamah Day. They will know the reality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no coming back to this life. There is no death. There's no Jannah for them. There's only Nar for them waiting. There's nothing but Nar for them waiting. There's nothing but Jahannam for eternity waiting for them. A'udhu billahi min Jahannam, min Jahannam, min fa'i Jahannam. And then they will call who? They will not call the sun and the moon and the idols and the trees, or the kings and the queens, or these leaders, or this ego of knowledge and this university and that technology, or this person or that person that they admired, and or that country or that passport. La, these all will go out the window. They will not come to their hearts and the minds. Rather, they will say, bring those people in front of me so I can step on the heads. I can step on the bodies, and I can then go into Jahannam. I want to drag them in Jahannam also. You will call those people who led you astray. You will call Allah to make them be punished double and more. Who will they call? They'll call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will say, Allah will not reply back to them. Allah will not reply back to them. Allah will not speak to them. Allah will say to them, Allah will say to the angels that the angels talk to them and say not to speak. And then they'll call Malik. They'll call the guardian of Jahannam. Ya Malik, ask your Rabb. See, Allah's not talking to them. They will say, ask your Rabb, ask your Rabb. They know that Allah is not, He has disowned us. He has disowned us. Ask your Rabb to give us death. Yaqdi alayna rabbuk. Allah, then Malik will reply back. You know, after how many years? In the tafsir books, it came after 1,000 years. Some of the narrations even prolonged those years. He will reply back after 1,000 years. Innakum makithun. You will be residing therein for eternity. Imagine that reality, that they will not see the greatest miraculous existence. The sky exists, the earth exists, we exist, the birds exist, the fish exist, the jinns exist, the angels, we feel the presence of the angels, the kalam of Allah exists. Allah exists. That's the greatest miracle of existence, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they will not see Him. They will not see Him ever. And it goes beyond intellect. You cannot rush. And you cannot fathom the magnitude of this issue, that you as a creation will never ever see, let alone witness Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ever. That's it, that's the end of you. And that's why, wallahi, alhamdulillah ala ni'mat al-Islam, alhamdulillah ala ni'mat al-Quran, alhamdulillah ala ni'mat al-Tadayyun, alhamdulillah that Allah made us amongst the Muslims. Alhamdulillah, we cannot appreciate that we are born Muslims. We cannot appreciate the ni'mah of the Quran, the ni'mah of ibadah. We can never ever thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of this reality, this reality that's beyond our souls, that beyond our mind, which is beyond our intellect, which is beyond our everything, is beyond it. We will only appreciate it once we go to as soon as death comes, we'll begin to appreciate it. And then once we enter into Jannah, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the mu'minun, and they will say, وَقَالَ الْحَمْدُ, they will praise Allah Jalla wa'ala because of what He has prepared for us. What He has prepared for us is beyond. Obviously, who Jalla wa'ala is, He's eternal. He creates kun fa'akun. And for Him to say, I have prepared for you, I have prepared for you, which no eyes have seen, which no intellect can imagine, which no heart can even fathom, I have prepared for you. Allahu Akbar. So no one has seen Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that pleasure will only be given to us once we enter into Jannah. And once we have seen all the pleasures, and once we have enjoyed all the pleasures, we will gather together and we will ask together, oh Allah, we want to see you. We want to see you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then will unveil His nur, that's veiling Him. Remember, He's a seeable being. Simply He's being veiled. He'll remove His nur for us to see Him, and we will see Him with this eye that Allah created you. Allah will not create another eye. It'll be this eye, your eye. It'll be huge, but it will be this eye that will see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will not move from a place to another place to see Him. You'll be where you are in Jannah. Where you are in Jannah, you'll be there, in that place, you, your wife, your children. And from that place, you don't have to move. You will see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Jalla Jalaluhu. And we will see Him until we are satisfied, right? Until Allah says enough. Allah will say enough. None of us will say enough, Allah, enough. Allah will say enough for now. Now. And Allah says in the Quran, Surah Al-Arqam, He says that we all will see Him, but we will not be grasping, because He is the exalted, the great being, so who He is. He just, no creation can grasp Him. لا تدركه الأبصار. No sight will be able to grasp Him, even in Jannah. Even in Jannah, no sight will be able to grasp Him. Subhanahu wa ta'ala Jalla Jalaluhu. Now.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Jazakumullah. And just to clarify, Sheikh, also you're including, when you say everyone, of course, it goes without saying, you're including even the best of creation, Rasulullah Sallallahu himself, when he went up on the night journey, and he even himself, he didn't see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
No, I did not see Allah subhanahu wa
just saw
ta'ala. Rasulullah says in Sahih Muslim, Ra'aytu Nura, I saw Nur. And he also says, فَأَنَّ أَرَاهُ, how can I see Him?
Subhanallah. Jazakallah Fadilata Sheikh. On the topic of tarbiyah or development, since the Al-Arqam's main priority and main focus since the beginning, of course, with your personal vision, Sheikh Ubayd, has been development in a very kind of delicate and detailed manner. Someone's asking a question on that topic specifically for females, specifically for our Muslim women in our ummah. They're asking, how can they find role models? You talk, Sheikh, about having role models and having people who can mentor you. How can females look for those role models when there's a shortage of them in our ummah?
There are no shortage of role models, of female role models. They are in your houses, they are in your amongst your families and relatives. They are amongst your local communities. They don't have to be on social media or they don't have to be famous. They don't have to be scholars. They don't have to be writers or authors or experts. But role model is someone who builds your character, your real local, tangible character, the core characteristics: forgiveness, overlooking, ignoring, being able to be far-sighted, being able to hold yourself when you're emotional and angry, and so forth. These can be trained by your mom, can be trained by your khala, or it could be even your grandmother. So it could be someone very close to you, or even relatives, distant relatives. It could be someone like that, or it could be neighbors, or it could be the community people whom you know. There are many out there. There are many other role models. So don't think when I say role models, I mean people in the media or people who have written books or people who are experts in certain fields. No, I don't mean that. I just mean someone who can tangibly, physically, right, mold you from the within. And you see them and you say, subhanAllah, you know what, she has so much patience. You know, who's my role model? Who's my role model? You ask any scholar, any role model of yours, who are their role models? A lot of time, their role model will be, right, their mother. You know, I give a lot of credit to my teachers and to my mentors, and they ought to, and my coaches, they ought to get the credit, no doubt about it. Whatever khair I have, I give it to them, and they ought to, they deserve it, no doubt about it, right? They deserve the credit, and we ought to say that. But when it comes to building me, my inside, who I am, right? It's my mom, it's my mother. My mother's grandmothers from both sides, so your mom's mom or your dad's mom, yeah, they could be role models, or your other aunties, like your uncle's wife. They could be role models, yeah. I personally, I've got another role model who obviously doesn't know. My nephew, my eldest nephew, I take him as a role model. SubhanAllah, he's very calm, he's very collected, he's relaxed, he laughs. Even when people insult him and so forth, he laughs it off. You know, he's big-hearted. He wants to take care of his sisters and so forth. I take him as a role model. Yeah. So role model is anyone who can make you better. Let me just give you the guideline of role model. Anyone who can internally make you a better human being and make you a greater Muslim, right? He is your role model, or she is your role model. I hope I've answered the question.
Jazakumullah. The next question, also kind of connected to, of course, the Al-Arqam. The Al-Arqam is famously provides all its services for free. So somebody's asking, what if someone sets up a Quran school for the intention of profit? So they set it up as a business. Will they still get sadaqah jariyah?
That's a tricky question. I don't know how to answer that one, because if I say yes, the person may go out and charge a lot of money, and he may just want to see it as a business. If I say no, then people might think I'm saying it's not allowed, right? So I'll give you this guideline. This is the guideline. The guideline is that if you can make money, with the dunya profession, so it's a not specifically directly wahi related profession. Yeah, it's a dunya profession. If you can make money through that, then I will say to you, do not charge, or if you charge as a service as a service, so that you're just covering the cost. You're not making extra profit. You're not becoming a millionaire, basically. Yeah. So firstly, do not charge, and if you have to charge, then charge as at the level of service. So the service to be quality, the service to be on point, the service to be weighty, the service to be for it to grow. So charge for those reasons. Yeah, not for the sake of making money to become a millionaire. Yeah. So those two. First one, the free of charge, it's the highest level of ihsan. It's the highest level of ihsan. If someone does that, that's the highest level of sadaqah jariyah. That's the highest level of ihsan. You're more likely to be amongst the muhsinin. You're more likely to be amongst the siddiqeen. You're more likely to be amongst the sadiqeen. This is the highest 3 or 2 levels. the highest. And if you do it with that intention, most likely you'll be amongst them. The second one, which is a loud one, which is you just charge for the service and to make it quality better and so forth, you will be amongst, inshallah, amongst the Muslims and amongst the mu'minun. And it will still be a sadaqah jariyah, right? And you will get the reward. As for the one that wants to become millionaire through that, Allah A'lam. If his intention is just to make money only, Allah A'lam, even if that is even allowed, let alone be sadaqah jariyah.
Jazakumullah. Another question, Sheikh is asking, how would a single mother go about educating her son about the issues of being a teenager and going through puberty if there isn't a father figure?
Firstly, we make dua. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes that easy for you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives barakat in your house, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes your affairs easy and smoothens your affairs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places rahmah and nur in the heart of your children, and understanding within the hearts of your children. That's the dua we make. Allahumma ameen. As for how, first and foremost, sister, is have husnul dhan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Know whatever has happened, it was meant to come towards you. And again, this question answer is very short. Otherwise, I can't, in my classes I go in detail. I would have given you detailed advice. But first and foremost, know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was good for his creation. He loves his creation more than anyone else. And whatever has happened for a better reason and for a greater reason and for a greater cause. So don't dwell in the past. Now focus on yourself. If you're still young, get married. I would say get married. If you've passed that age, then focus on your children. First and foremost, try to find other families like yourselves. Seek advice from them. Yeah, other families who you take as role models. Take practical tips from them. Then try to find institutions, local institutions, right? And then eventually try to find mentors and teachers for your children. So firstly, other families, similar age of yourself and of your children, role models. Yeah. Second, institutions for yourself and your children. And third, private teachers. Find private teachers, right? And lastly, and most important one, dua. Constantly do dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the dua of the parents are answered. So Rasulullah says the dua of the parents are answered. Wallahi, so call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Dua is there for the heavens to move. Dua is there for the earth to move. Dua is there for qadr to move. Dua is there for decrees to be rewritten. Dua is there for the causes and effects to become nothing. That's what dua is there. Dua is there for you to call your Rabb and for Allah Jalla wa Ala to unveil his answer to you, to show that he exists, he lives, he knows, he's aware, and he will not let go of any oppression, and he will not let go of any pleading that's been pleaded to him only. He will not let go, he will answer it. So call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will answer your du'as, inshallah.
Subhanallah. Jazakumullah. I've decided to put all the questions with Aqeedah and development Ustad right to the front. So those are the questions to do with Tarbiyah, development and Aqeedah, one of your areas of expertise, Barakallahu feekum. I've got a whole bunch of fiqh questions now, Sheikh, more practical day-to-day questions. Do you want to do that tonight, or would you like to leave that to tomorrow?
Tafaddal.
Are you sure?
Let me finish everything to that.
Are you sure?
Tafaddal. Okay,
in that case, if you may permit me to please say to everybody, consider please donating to the Al-Arqam. I'll take this opportunity. The Sheikh has been very generous, and although he wouldn't appeal for it himself because he's, mashallah, serving the Ummah, I would like to ask everybody to consider, inshallah, making a donation to the Arqam for the service that it provides. I'm going to add the link right now in the chat. So on that point, another area which the Arqam has focused on for many years and continues to focus on, as you know, Sheikh Ubayd, is the issue of the fiqh of transactions, money matters, zakah, other issues like that. So I've got a few questions to do with zakah. The first one is simply asking just to give a brief explanation of the difference between Zakat al-Fitr and Zakat al-Mal.
Zakat al-Fitr is the zakat you pay after the fasting of Ramadan, right? You pay before Eid Salah for your shortcomings in your fasting of Ramadan, the obligatory fasting of Ramadan. But that's what Zakat al-Fitr is, and that is sa' of any food of the country. Sa' comes around 3 kilos, 2.5 kilos to 3 kilos of any food. So our Bangladeshi food is usually rice, right? And other people's might be wheat, right? Those are the main ones, right? So those you give 2.5 to 3 kilos to a poor family, right? On Eid day or before the Eid day, but it has to be for them to eat on Eid day before the Eid Salah. That's Zakat al-Fitr. As for Zakat al-Mal, that is a zakat on the savings from your income, whatever the income may be. The income may be inheritance. The income may be your employee, your work, or income may be benefits. You're getting benefits from the state, yeah, or pension. Whatever income it is, if it goes after the essential utilization of the income, if it goes over 300, say 70 plus to 400 pounds, and that money is saved after 1 year of cycle, that money is still there, like 300, say 70, 400, 500, 600, comes down to 400, it goes up to 700. That money is always saved. Then there's zakat 2.5% on that money of your wealth. So that is it's counted as your wealth now. It's not simply money coming in and you expending it on your necessary needs and essential needs. Now you're saving some money, which has become your wealth. Okay, on that wealth, saved money, right? There's 2.5% zakat on that. I hope that's clear.
Jazakumullah. The second question to do with zakah. The questioner asks that a sister's husband usually pays for zakah. This year, he has asked the sister to contribute, but the sister says she does not work. However, she does receive some carer's allowance for her son's disability. May Allah reward you all and give him shifa, inshallah. Whose responsibility is it to pay zakah on her gold, and also does she have to pay zakah on the aforementioned benefits?
If the gold is yours, meaning it could be someone gifted it to you either as mahar, or someone gifted it as a gift, or you bought it with your own money, right? Whichever the case, as long as the gold is yours, so you're not borrowing from someone, right? It's yours, right? Then you pay the zakat. You pay the zakat. If your husband usually used to pay, then he's doing ihsan on you. He's doing a favor for you, and he's doing something good. He'll get reward for that. But if you can't pay, if your husband can't pay, then the next, and you can't pay as well, the next person that ought to pay the zakah is your father. Your father. So you have to ask your father to pay the zakah. He's your guardian. If your father is not there, or he can't pay, right, then your brother. If your brother can't pay, then your uncle. So you go down the list, right, for them to pay. Someone has to pay the zakat on your gold. Now, according to the Hanafi madhab, and this is the opinion I go with, because it's the right of the poor. It's your wealth. It's a wealth. So it's the right of the poor. As for the other zakat on any benefits and so forth, as I said, any income that is saved beyond say 370 to 400 pounds, beyond that is saved, there's zakat on that money. It doesn't matter if the zakat is if it's the child's money, doesn't matter. There's zakat on that money for the poor, because poor have a right. If your child there could be a child similar to your child, poor, disabled, yeah, your child, alhamdulillah, has been taken care of through that money. Now that money, the other child deserves it also. Yeah.
Barakallahu feekum. While we're on this topic, Sheikh, I'm sure you get this question a lot. Excuse me, as do I. Many people ask the question, can I pay zakat towards our fundraising campaigns? We're raising money for Al-Arqam. Many people ask, can I give my yearly zakat?
No, we made that very clear. You are not allowed to give zakat to us, because zakat has a very, very specific 8 categories of people. Very, very specific. Yeah, go to that verse. Let me give you the verse. So you know, Adam, can you just scroll and give them the verse quickly?
Sure, Sheikh.
Surah Tawbah, which verse number is it? That verse.
إنما الصدقات للفقراء, this one?
Yeah. إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين والعاملين عليها.
This is verse 16, Sheikh, of Surah At-Tawbah.
So verse 60 of Surah Tawbah. Okay? Just read that translation.
I'll share my screen if you want, Sheikh.
Yeah. Read that translation. Those 8 categories of people only, right, are deserving of zakat. No one else. No one else. Some of the ulama, this generation have become a bit lenient, and they say that fi sabilillah, you can give it to anyone. La. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right, would not have specified those 8 categories of people if it was general that I can give it to anyone and everyone. So zakat is not allowed to be given to TV stations and schools and masjid and institutions and so forth and so on and so forth. It's not allowed. Yeah. For that you have sadaqat, donations, general donations. Yeah. Or you can intend gift or waqf. You can intend waqf businesses to give a percentage of the profit to a institution or a masjid or a school, so forth and so on, or hospital. Yeah, these are fine, inshallah. So, however, as we said, if you have a substantial amount of zakat, then you can email the Al-Arqam, and the Al-Arqam will distribute it accordingly to those deserving categories of people, inshallah. But if you have a small amount, then give it to other humanitarian charities which specialize in distribution of zakat money around the globe or around the Muslim Ummah.
Jazakumullah. Somebody's asking, I think you answered it, Sheikh, which is, do I have to pay zakat on my mahar money, which I received this year? Considering it's probably not arrived at the whole year yet.
Yeah. Yeah, main thing is it has to go 1 year. Once it goes 1 year, then yes, if it passes the threshold, which is 370 to 400 pounds. If it's above that, then there's a cut on it. Nah.
Assalamu alaikum. Somebody's asking, what's the opinion of delaying the Isha Salah, Isha prayer?
You can delay the Isha Salah 2/3 of the night, not beyond that.
Jazakumullah khairan. Somebody's asking, Sheikh, what's your opinion on the opinion, I believe if I'm not mistaken, Sheikh, this is the Maliki opinion, to break up your 4 rak'ah sunnah into 2s, or would you rather pray the 4 rak'ah sunnah as 4 all in one salah, like the fard?
Which 4 rak'ah sunnah?
Let's say for Dhuhr, for example. No.
You can pray 2, inshallah, no problem. This was a view of some of the ulama of the past. You can pray 2, or you can pray for both are fine. Both are allowed. Alhamdulillah. No problem.
Assalamu alaikum for this, Sheikh. Somebody's asking, if we hear the Prophet's name while we're praying, what should we do in response?
If it's voluntary salah, then you can say sallallahu alayhi wasallam. If it's obligatory salah, then you remain quiet.
Jazakumullah khairan. Sheikh, someone's asking here, is it still advisable to recite long surahs during Taraweeh, which I believe you advised earlier, Sheikh, in an earlier Q&A session. You advised that they should open the Mus'haf and read longer surahs to make the salah longer, the qiyam longer. Yeah. They're saying, would you still give that advice if they are essentially tata'ata, so they're stuttering or they're very slow in their recitation? Would you still give that advice?
Yes, of course. You'll get double reward, as Rasulullah said.
MashaAllah, barakallahu
and double reward is different than two hasana. To reward, to ajr is different than to hasana. I don't have time to expand on it, maybe another time. Shall I
I think
expand on it?
everybody should start to. I think everybody should start to attend your classes for the Sheikh. If
Yeah.
everybody doesn't know yet, the Sheikh
so-
has very beautiful classes every Saturday, and you have a tafsir on Thursday, I believe, Sheikh.
So two ajr is different and than two hasana. What it means is that you'll get a reward in this dunya life first and foremost, that's guaranteed, and then you'll get the reward in the akhirah, that's guaranteed. No one can take that away from you. Yeah. When it comes to hasana, the reward, the fruit of the hasana is not guaranteed. When it comes to ajr, it's guaranteed. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you guaranteed ajr, that you will get guaranteed reward in Jannah. Khalas. It's guaranteed for you. No one can take that away from you. Nah.
SubhanAllah. Somebody's asking, Sheikh, do we have to do wudu after our showers?
If your showering is from major impurity, then you don't need to make the intention of, then you don't have to do wudu. If you're elevating yourself by doing ghusl from major impurity, then you don't have to do wudu again. Okay, obviously, unless you break your wudu after the ghusl, then obviously you have to do wudu. Yeah, but other than that, you don't have to do wudu. So that's, let me say again, if you're doing shower or ghusl or bath from major impurity, you don't have to do wudu. Again, you don't have to even intend wudu, because the intention of the elevating the major impurity suffices. However, if you're doing ghusl as a sunnah or just because you're hot, right, then you have to do wudu either before the ghusl or either after the ghusl.
Barakallahu feekum. Just one more, Sheikh, if you don't mind. Somebody's asking about Eid prayer. They're saying that, considering we're not sure how we're going to pray this Eid prayer, Sheikh, what would we do in response? They're also asking if they're not sure what you're going to say, so they're saying they're wondering if you are going to say pray at home, then would a 14-year-old be able to lead it?
Let's wait, inshallah, make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's not get something future in the present. Let's wait for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make dua that we are allowed to pray Eid Salah by taking the necessary precautions in the parks or in the masajid, inshallah ta'ala. Do not bring something from the future in the present. This goes against Islamic principles and instructions. Barakallahu fikum.
Barakallahu fikum.
We'll end it here today.
Absolutely, Sheikh. Jazakumullahu khairan for your generous time, Sheikh. This has been the longest time I think you've ever dedicated to Q&A. And Jazakumullah for your summary. Can I just say to everybody, please, a lot of people are asking questions that have been answered before. Please go to our YouTube channel and look at all our previous Q&A sessions. The YouTube channel handle is Dar Al-Arqam UK, D-A-R-A-R-Q-A-M, sorry, D-A-R-A-L-A-R-Q-A-M UK. On YouTube, you'll find all the Sheikh's previous questions. That's why I didn't pose your question to the Sheikh, because it's been answered already. Jazakumullahu khairan. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم.
Played some of the videos, Adam, and the donation ones. Yeah, for 5 minutes, inshallah.
Okay, barakallahu feekum. Sheikh Ustad Burhan, if you're there, can you please play the videos as I'm using my phone? Jazakumullah.